Clara's arthritic fingers brushed dust off Wuthering Heights, hidden under a stack of unopened bills, and suddenly, she was 17 again, sneaking kisses with Tom in musty library aisles. 60 now, widowed 3 years, she'd forgotten how stories could time travel grief. Outside, rain smudged London streets, but her mind raced. What if Fam swapped books instead of condolences? That dogged novel became her first rebel move. By week's end, she'd bullied her way into hosting Clara's arthritic fingers brushed dust off Wuthering Heights, its spine cracked like her own knees after decades of stubborn climbs. 60 years had taught her books outlived people, a truth as comforting as it was cruel. Still, grief had a way of sneaking up, sharp as a paper cut, when she least expected. Tonight, rain drummed against bookshop window, mimicking the old radiator's clank in her late husband's study. She missed its uneven rhythm almost as much as his off-key humming. Book club had been a hesitant step, like testing weight on a sprained ankle. But Fam here didn't pity her. They passed dogged novels like shared secrets, each spine a bridge between their losses. First, she'd clutched Wuthering Heights like armor, same edition she'd read 20, when love felt as wild as Moore's. Now, under flickering fairy lights, she slid it onto swap shelf. Letting go wasn't betrayal. It was making space for new stories, even if her heart still whispered coward. Someone left Persuasion in its place. Clara smirked. Austen's wit was a balm, and Universe had a wry sense of humor, offering a novel about second chances just as she'd begun doubting hers. Outside, the busker's violin tangled with laughter from pub next door. London carried on, messy and alive. So would she. Clara's arthritic fingers brushed dust off Wuthering Heights, its spine cracked like her own knees after decades of stubborn loyalty. She hadn't planned to host a book club, just wanted to escape empty afternoons haunting her flat like uninvited guests. But when she'd tripped over a stack of donated paperbacks outside Mr. Patel's shop, blaming her sensible shoes, not pavement's cheeky unevenness, fate nudged. Inside, a handwritten sign caught her eye, Community Book Swap, Grief and Glory Edition. Below it, a rainbow of post-its fluttered, strangers' scribbles confessing losses between lines. Mum's recipe book, still flour-dusted. His fishing hat, smelling of brine. Clara's throat tightened. She'd never spoken about losing James, but here, stories waited like outstretched hands. She organized first meeting with military precision, biscuits arranged just so, chairs in a forgiving circle, only for chaos to reign. Marjorie, 78 and unapologetically loud, argued Jane Eyre needed more fire. Quiet Priya clutched her late husband's annotated Gitanjali, whispering how poetry outlived even love. By meeting's end, laughter tangled with tears, and creator realized books weren't just mirrors, they were doors. Weeks passed, club becoming her unexpected fam. Teenage Aisha arrived clutching her grand's dogged pride and prejudice, declaring it old but gold, which made woman snort into her tea. Even reticent widower Tom thought, admitting he'd never read past page 3 of anything until retirement. Now he devoured Middlemarch like crisps, highlighting passages with a child's glee. One drizzly Tuesday, Clara opened Wuthering Heights to find a pressed forget-me-not tucked inside, James's favorite. Her breath hitched. Maybe grief wasn't a storm to outrun, but a tide, its waves bringing treasures if she dared to wade in. That night, she placed novel on swap shelf, its pages no longer a relic of loss but a compass for others. By summer, Club had outgrown Mr. Patel's back room, spilling into a sunlit library corner. Clara, once wary of being that lonely old bird, now juggled RSVPs and debated whether scones trumped cupcakes. They did, obviously. And when Marjorie declared their next read would be Clara's battered travel memoir, abandoned in a drawer for years, she didn't protest. Some stories, after all, were meant to be shared. Clara's arthritic fingers brushed dust off Wuthering Heights, its spine cracked like her own knees after decades of London winters. 60 years young, and still pretending she could hoist hardbacks like a student. But this wasn't nostalgia. This was war. 3 months since Jim's funeral, and grief had settled into her flat like a surly cat, refusing to be shooed away. She'd tried yoga, disaster, pottery, bigger disaster, even one of those apps grandkids swore by. Then she'd stumbled into bookshop down road, where a flyer for a grief book club clung to bulletin board like a dare. First meeting, she'd bought Wuthering Heights, Jim's favorite, though he'd never admit it, and nearly bolted when she saw group. A tattooed barista clutching year of magical thinking, a retired headmistress with a grief-observed dog-ear to oblivion. Not her fan. Not even close. But when barista muttered, "Heathcliff's a prat, but damn if I don't get it," something in Clara's chest unclenched. Now, every Tuesday, they swapped books like battle plans. No weepy platitudes, just stories, messy, furious, ridiculous, passed hand to hand. Clara started leaving paperbacks on park benches, tucked into cafe nooks, each with a sticky note, for when you need a friend who gets it. One rainy afternoon, she found a waterlogged copy of Jane Eyre on her doorstep, margins scribbled with notes in a shaky hand. Page 217, this one's for you. She turned to it, laughing through sudden tears. Jane's declaration, "I am no bird, and no net ensnares me." Grief hadn't vanished. But now it had company. And Clara, stiff joints and all, was finally learning to carry it. Clara's arthritic fingers brushed dust off Wuthering Heights, its spine cracked like her own knees after decades of loyalty. Tonight, grief wouldn't win. Not with dog-eared pages as her armor. She'd planned to lurk in back of bookshop's event, clutching her tattered novel like a shield. But when moderator flaked, food poisoning from dodgy sushi, silence swallowed room. Skeptical glances bounced between shelves. A woman in a leopard print scarf muttered, "Typical." Clara's pulse roared. Then, a reckless thought, what if I? Before fear could argue, she stood. 60 years of quiet dissolved as she thumped Wuthering Heights onto podium. Right. Who here's lost someone and pretended a book knew them better than you did? A hush. Then, a snort from leopard scarf lady. She grinned. Still, fam Kathy's drama won't judge. Laughter loosened room. One by one, strangers traded stories, not just about books, but about love, regret, that one awful funeral casserole. She swapped her Bronte for a memoir handed to her by a tattooed barista, its margins scribbled with a son's last notes. Air hummed with something fiercer than grief, recognition. Then, click. A flash. Some millennial had live-streamed whole thing. By midnight, Granny Book Rebel trended. A literary magazine slid into Clara's DMs, "We want your hot takes on grief and Wuthering Heights." Leopard Scarf Lady, now her fiercest ally, cackled over decaf, "Told you sushi was sketchy. Destiny's Got Taste." Clara clutched old novel, its weight familiar. For first time in years, silence didn't scare her. She turned a bookshop's flop into a lifeline, not just for herself, but for a roomful of heartsick strangers. I found my voice, she realized. And it sounded like pages turning, together. Clara's arthritic fingers brushed dust off Wuthering Heights, its pages whispering memories of late-night reads with James. Grief had clung like fog over London, but today, sunlight pooled on that battered spine, her signal. She lugged it to Primrose Hill Books, where a handwritten sign promised community book swap and stories. First, she'd only listened, hugging her novel like armor. But weeks in, she nudged a widower toward Midnight Library with a wink, "Trust me, fam, alternate universes beat staring soup." Laughter erupted. Soon, her odd habit, dog-earing pages with biscuit crumbs, became legend. By spring, Clara wasn't just attending, she was guiding. She paired a teen drowning in loss with an of Green Gables, then rallied group to host readings a hospice. That old copy of Wuthering Heights, now stamped with sticky notes, passed hand to hand like a torch. One evening, watching strangers bond over dog-eared paperbacks, Clara realized, grief hadn't shrunk. Life had simply grown bigger around it. Grab your favorite book, swap